don't mind the fuel pump. That's a battle for another day, but we do want to move to a fuel pump that's inside of the gas tank. But we'll get there. Right now we're focused on getting this GM 8.2 rear end built. So here we are under the car. Here is our pinion assembled out of the pumpkin. The bearings are old, and these aren't the bearings we're going to run, but before we put this in, we want to use a little bit of oil on the bearings. We don't need a lot. We just don't want the bearings to go on the races dry. And then maybe we'll take a finger smear and we'll smear it around on the race. And then we'll put it all together. Our pinion goes together and comes apart very easy. We've also put anti-seize on our splines. I've retrieved the washer off of the damaged yoke, and our bearings just slide up and off. Now we'll make sure there's oil on each of the bearings. And then we'll stick it in. For the sake of taking this test, we're going to assemble it without the crush sleeve and without the pinion seal. We're just going to assemble just the bearings and the yoke and run the nut up to 0 lash just so we can take a measurement. We have a brand new carrier to assemble. Limited slip. This new carrier comes to us with a kit from Rigid Axle. I'll leave a link in the description to the kit that we got. The kit comes with a full bearing set, and in the bearing set is a set of Koyo bearings for the carrier bearings and for the pinion bearings. And then the new carrier comes with its own bearings. The bearings that come with the carrier are ZLZ bearings, and I can't find too much information on those, but the Koyo bearings are a good high quality bearing. So we're going to use the Koyo bearings that came in the bearing kit, and we're just going to throw away the ZLZ bearings that came with the carrier. I like to press my bearings onto the carrier before I put the ring gear on. I just just keeps it from accidents happening or anything getting nicked, Assembly is really simple and easy. We just put the bearing on. I have an old inner race that I like to put on top of the bearing so that we're not mashing the top of the race or the cage. And then I put these down for a second. And then I just take a plate, put it across the top. Without hurting anything. And now we just got to press this side. So we got to do the same thing. We got to, on this side, now that we have the bearing pressed on this side, it's important that we don't let the housing, the weight of the housing rest on it, because it might press and bend the cage. So I like to take an inner race and set it on the balance on the inside like that, so the cage isn't being touched. And then I'll set it down like that, and then I'll press my bearing to the top side. Let me get set up and I'll show you. It's balanced on one inner race. We use this to press the first one on when we didn't have a bearing assembly on one side of the carrier. This just slips over the collar and it's as tall or taller than the lip, so we're not pushing the machine surface into anything, so we're not worried about mushrooming it out or anything like that. Okay, that's for putting the first bearing on. Installing the second bearing, we use inner races balanced on them. Here's the second bearing, coil. Bearing goes on, race goes on the top, making sure it's not touching. Whoops. Flat plate. And the pole. Pressing it all the way. And that's it. Here are two important tools for the press. And now here's our carrier with new bearings pressed on it. Now you just got to bolt on the ring gear, set in with Loctite, torque it all down to spec, and then we can start fitting this. Okay, installing the ring gear is pretty easy and straightforward. Our ring gear again comes to us from Rigid Axle in the kit. The kit is so nice and complete. It even comes to us with all new hardware. It comes with a fresh set of bolts for the carrier, and they even send it with a tube of Loctite. It's a small tube, but they send it with Loctite, so it's really complete. We have our own we're going to use. And this is a 373 gear ratio. That's a ring gear. GM 8.2 373. Okay. The way we install these is we take the ring gear, we lay it down upside down. We take the carrier, we flip it upside down. And we put the carrier inside of the ring gear. And then we can bring the ring gear up to the carrier, like so. And now, with all the bolts started, and now we can use the ratchet and just draw on the bolts. I won't put the Loctite on until I've brought the ring gear all the way up on the carrier to where it's going to be. And we just keep jumping around as we're tightening. And now the ring gear is brought up all the way to the carrier and it's mounted flush. Bearings are on. From here, all we got to do now is remove all of these and set them back in with Loctite and torque them all down to 45 foot-pounds, and we're good to go. I've seen some specs that say 55 foot-pound on these bolts. I like going to 45 foot-pound and using a lot of Loctite. High strength thread locker. we just gotta get them all torqued to 45 foot-pounds. Okay, so because there's 10 bolts around here, we're not gonna trust our own sight and memory. We're gonna mark each one as we torque it, just so we're not going back over all 10 bolts multiple times trying to recheck our torque. Okay. We're gonna hold this, like this.